Welcome to Sci-Fi Bedtime Stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. A deadly encounter unfolded as Danny Riker, a courier scout, found himself face-to-face with Ra Talon, a captivating green-skinned mercenary, at a crashed reaver skimmer. Their tense standoff escalated into a desperate fight for survival against a relentless reaver assault. Ra, wounded but resolute, demanded answers, her gaze burning into his. Danny, displaying unexpected courage, patched her wound, earning her trust. A brutal firefight erupted, their combined skills pushing back the reaver forces. In the aftermath, Danny and Ra, forged in shared peril, faced a new challenge, a relentless enemy and a critical rendezvous. Their fates intertwined, they vowed to face whatever came next, united as a formidable team. They moved together to face the next threat, their survival a testament to their shared grit and resilience. He noticed her satchel, lifting an eyebrow in silent question. "Really?" he asked, a smirk playing on his lips. "If we're partners, I decide what you look at. Always so suspicious? Or just around humans? Especially the pretty clever ones?" Danny laughed, shaking her head. "Seriously this time." "So this is our temporary truce," she stated, her voice firm. "Split the reward if we live. No questions, no digging into the past." Offering his hand, he responded, "Deal." She turned, heading towards a wrecked bike, a quick glance over her shoulder. "Don't tell me you're going to stare while I ride." "Only if that's your thing," he countered. Her warning came sharply. "Keep it up, and you'll be my hood ornament." A grin spread across Danny's face as she jogged to catch up. They rode until dusk, the setting sun painting the sky in fiery hues. They stopped at a dry ravine to refuel, and Ra knelt, her gaze intense as she scanned the fractured shale. Danny crouched beside her, a question in her eyes. "What are we looking for?" "Roots, patterns," Ra replied, her voice low. "I've tracked these green marauders for weeks. They're using old smuggler routes. Old Legion maps show maintenance lines beneath this shale. If we cut through the flatlands," she traced a quick path in the dirt, "we'll hit their likely base in 2 days." Danny's eyebrows shot up. "You mean we're hunting them?" Ra turned her head, her gaze piercing. "You said you wanted in." "I said I had a rendezvous, then leave." Ra didn't flinch. "No one's stopping you." A long silence stretched between them before he spoke, his voice heavy. "They hit a refugee convoy last week, torched it, left the children to die in the sun. My brother was running evac." Her eyes flicked to his, a flicker of understanding passing between them. "You lost people." He nodded, his jaw tight. "Just like you did. We kill them together, then we part ways. That's the deal." Danny looked her directly in the eye, her voice resolute. "Yeah, but maybe not right away." That night, they camped in the shell of an old rock hauler, half buried in a dune. Danny watched as Ra stripped off her shoulder guard, wincing as she stretched. Offering the medkit again, he said, "That field patch is weak. Let me fix it." "I can handle the pain." She shrugged. "I'm not doing it for you," he retorted, his voice gruff. "I just don't want you slowing me down." A faint smirk touched her lips. She sat down, turning, and pulled her vest down, exposing one shoulder. He worked in silence, his fingers brushing her skin. This time, she didn't flinch. "You're good with your hands," she murmured. "You're not too bad with a rifle," he replied, a hint of amusement in his voice. A soft chuckle, then silence fell once more. When he finished, she turned to face him. "Still peeking, human?" Danny's mouth quirked into a small smile. "Still curious?" Ra leaned in slightly, her voice a whisper. "Be careful. Curiosity gets people killed." He met her gaze, his own unwavering. "Only if it's not returned." Tomorrow, the hunt would begin, but tonight, they rested. They set out before dawn, Ra driving faster than necessary. Danny held the scanner, its readings clear. Metallic signatures ahead, vehicle columns, camps, heat traces, reavers. They stopped just before the first ridge, covering the bike with a thermal tarp and loose salt pan dust. Danny crouched beside her, surveying the valley below. 2 trucks, 4 bikes, cargo skiff in the middle. Looks like a mobile salvage crew. "Armed?" she questioned. He zoomed in, his voice grim. "Heavy carbines, tripod mounted. No anti-armor though." "Perfect," she muttered. "We hit them fast and quiet." Danny glanced at her, a hint of concern in her voice. "No backup, no second chance. I never need one." They slid down the ridge on their stomachs, silent as shadows. Danny placed a sonic mine at the rear pass between the truck trails, angled for maximum shock dispersion. Setting the timer for 30 seconds, he slipped into position. Ra was already moving, counting guards, 1 at the cargo bay, 2 at the skiff, 1 pacing near the trucks. Danny tapped twice on the comm, and Ra's whisper came back. Copy. Waiting until the guard passed his position, he rose. The knife went in clean, the body crumpling into his arms without a sound. He dragged it behind a crate, tuning the Reaver's radio to static. Ra's silhouette flickered at the edge of his vision as she darted forward, dropping a second guard with a silent shot to the temple. The sonic mine exploded, a deafening cough in the stillness. Ra broke cover, sprinting across the flats towards the last guard. Danny fired twice, and the camp fell silent. Ra climbed onto the platform, scanning the cargo hold. Danny joined her, his heart still pounding in his chest. Inside, they found 2 crates of rail shells, black market med packs, and a case of coded data tablets, Reaver logs. Well, he asked, his voice tight. She looked at the data tablets, then at him, her expression grave. This wasn't just salvage. This was a delivery. They were moving intel. Destination? He asked. We opened the first tablet, her gloved fingers flying over the decrypted keys. Her face changed, becoming grim. Basalt Ravine, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Danny's chest tightened, his breath catching in his throat. I've heard of it. A canyon base, half underground, half fortress. No one's cracked it. She turned the screen towards him. Until now. The map on the tablet showed tunnel networks, guard rotations, fuel depot schematics, even a labeled command tier. Whoever logged this data wasn't just a Reaver. Then he noticed the final tag. Launch sequence authorization codes pending. They're deploying, Ra stated. Should we move? Danny asked. Not yet, Ra replied, then pulled another crate from the skiff, revealing uniforms. We'll infiltrate, disguised. Danny blinked, incredulous. A Reaver stronghold. We can't bluff our way in. Ra smiled, a dangerous glint in her eye. I don't bluff. I sell. They torched the camp, obliterated the vehicles, and buried the bodies in a sandy grave. By the time they reached the safe zone marked on Ra's map, the sun had climbed high. Inside, a welcome coolness enveloped them. Danny checked their gear. Ra shed her vest and armor, revealing a sweat-drenched undersuit. She peeled it halfway off, then knelt by the fire kit, her breath still ragged. Danny averted his gaze. Go ahead, Ra said, not looking up. I can feel it. He turned away. Just making sure you're not dying. I'll die when I'm ready, she declared, tying back her hair. Do you ever let anyone help you? No, she admitted. That's why I'm still alive. He sat beside her. You're not alone now. For a moment, silence. Then, you say that like it's a good thing. It is, Danny affirmed. For both of us. Ra turned her head. You're dangerous when you mean it, she whispered. Danny met her gaze. And you're lethal when you pretend you don't care. He reached out, touching the edge of the bandage on her shoulder. It's healing cleanly, he observed. I have more med gel. No, she declined. Leave it. Danny nodded, then added softly, means I remember. They lapsed into silence. Ra honed her blades. Danny checked their charges. A gust buffeted Danny, and he shielded his face. Behind him, Ra slept, her back against the wall, a perpetual state of readiness. Danny watched her, mesmerized by her breathing, the subtle twitches that spoke of constant vigilance. As dawn broke, they moved out, abandoning their bike, burying it beneath salt-stained canvas. They marched east across fractured ridges, wind-carved veins in the ancient rock. He paused, crouching, brushing away a boot print. Someone else was here, he murmured. Ra joined him, her eyes narrowing. How long ago? A couple of hours, maybe less. Wide stride, too heavy for locals carrying loads. She scanned the horizon. Reavers or someone fleeing them. Then we follow, she said, moving past him. Danny smirked. Always taking the lead, aren't you? She glanced back, a sharp retort in her eyes. You always question the woman with the gun. Only when she also has the map. You mean this? She asked, holding up his datapad, which she'd clearly pilfered. Danny blinked. Seriously, how long? 3 clicks ago. He laughed, shaking his head. Ever considered therapy? Only for the people who try to follow me. Then he saw it, just over the rise. A small forward camp, partially concealed by wrecked trucks. Ra crouched beside him, peering through her rifle scope. "One guard," she reported. Danny assessed the setup. "They're not Reavers." "How do you know?" "They're terrible at hiding." Ra's smile was tight. "Perhaps they want to be found." She started forward, but Danny caught her wrist. "Wait," he said, pointing to the far side of the camp. A boot, half buried in gravel. A trail of blood, disappearing into a tent. This changed everything. "Split approach?" he asked. She nodded. "South side. I'll distract." "You sure?" She looked at him as if he'd offered to carry her rifle. "Cute that you still ask." It unfolded silently. Danny circled to the rear. Ra sauntered in from the front, as if she owned the place. The guard stared, mouth agape, bewildered. Ra didn't even raise her weapon. "I'm looking for your boss," she stated. "Or are you the boss?" The guard remained silent. Danny reached him from behind, deploying a stun burst. The man crumpled without a sound. "Show off," Ra muttered as Danny joined her. "Teamwork," he replied, nodding toward the largest tent. Inside, they found the source of the blood trail, a Reaver. Strapped to a metal cot with industrial cable, his hands bound, lips split, a woman stood over him. She looked up as they entered. "Who the hell are you?" "You first," Ra commanded, raising her rifle. The woman didn't flinch. "I'm Zay. This bastard was my handler. I've been tracking his crew for months." Danny moved closer. "You're not Reaver." Zay shook her head. "Used to run salvage. He hijacked my crew 2 months ago. I finally caught him yesterday. He ran. I caught up." She nudged the cot. "Now he's bleeding out, and I have questions." Danny and Ra exchanged a glance. She lowered her rifle. "Got any answers yet?" Danny inquired. Zay snorted. "None that make any sense. He keeps muttering about a launch, something called Phase Delta. Whatever it is, it's happening fast." Ra advanced, her expression hardening to ice. "Show me." Zay complied, handing over a cracked data pad. "Same target, same nightmare." "Then this is real," Danny muttered. "They're pre." With a launch imminent, Zay nodded grimly. "Big one," Ra prompted. "How big?" Zay's voice faltered. "City killer size." Ra remained silent, stepping closer, his quiet presence a testament to his unwavering resolve. Turning to Zay, Ra stated, "We're taking your prisoner. We're going to the ravine. If you want to join, you'll have to earn your keep." Zay blinked in surprise. "You're going in?" Ra confirmed with a nod. "Deep." Zay surveyed them both. "Then you'll need help getting close." Danny raised an eyebrow. "You offering?" Zay's smile was sharp, revealing all her teeth. "I have clearance codes. Dead tech, but they'll pass casual scans." Ra's voice cut through the air. "Why should we trust you?" Zay gestured towards the bound Reaver. "Because I hate them more than you do." Ra studied her for a long moment, then gave a single, decisive nod. "Pack your gear." That night, they found refuge under the fractured dome of an abandoned radar station. Zay slept first, while Danny and Ra stood watch. Danny finally broke the silence. "You okay?" Ra, eyes fixed on the darkness, replied, "You've asked me that 3 times, yet you haven't answered once." "No," Danny admitted softly, "but I'm alive." Danny nodded. "For now," she added, even quieter. He simply sat beside her, a silent companion, until the fire dwindled to embers and the cold began to seep in. When she leaned almost imperceptibly against his shoulder, he allowed it. Somewhere in the vast darkness, a Reaver, once a hunter of children, bled into the earth behind a secured cargo crate. Zay snored softly, a gentle sound, curled like a question mark beneath a foil blanket near the dying fire. She stirred once, her dream muscles briefly flaring, then stilled. Even in sleep, her hand remained on her pulse pistol. "Do you ever get tired of being right?" she whispered. Danny glanced down, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Only when it costs people their lives." She lifted her gaze to the distant stars. "They burned my colony alive," she stated, her voice flat. "It started with the water reserves, then they nuked the pumps from orbit. I watched the fires consume everything before they landed. They cleaned up the bodies, took the salvage." Danny remained silent, listening. "They didn't need the people," she continued, her voice unwavering. "They didn't want survivors, just cleared the land for a fuel depot. I returned 2 days later. The only thing left standing was a child's swing. still creaking in the wind. She swallowed hard. They killed my mother, my brothers, my uncle, my teacher, my bondmate. Danny blinked. You were bonded for 2 months, she corrected softly. Then they came. Danny leaned back, his arms crossed over his knees. They attacked a refugee ship I was guarding last cycle, he said quietly. We were only supposed to escort them to orbit. 2 Reaver raiders broke through the line, hit the main drive with an EMP. When I regained consciousness, my squad was gone. She looked at him. They left the children, he explained, his voice low. Lined up against a bulkhead, shot through the chest, one after another. Ra's hand found his, a silent offering of comfort. They sat in shared silence for a long time. Ra finally exhaled slowly. I've never told anyone that, she confessed. Me neither, Danny replied. Do you think Zay's genuine? Danny shrugged. She hates Reavers enough to bleed for it. That's enough for now. He paused. Still, I think she's hiding something. Zay nodded. But if we eliminate everyone who hides things, we'll be the only ones left alive. Ra gave a faint smirk. Speak for yourself. Danny tilted his head towards her. I meant what I said earlier. You're not alone. Temporary alliances don't count. I'm not talking about the mission. She looked at him, questioning. Then what are you talking about? Danny hesitated, then slowly reached inside his vest, pulling out a small black tag. He passed it to her. Ra turned it over in her hand. The back was etched with a hand-carved inscription, Leave no one. She looked at him. I pulled that off my brother's body, he said, his voice rough. Before we burned what was left, I kept it because I knew I'd lose my way without it. She handed it back gently. I haven't had anything worth carrying for years, she admitted. Danny met her gaze. You do now. For a long, silent moment, their eyes held. The next morning dawned cold and sharp. Zay was already up, boiling filtered water over a recharged fuel cell, muttering about nav beacons and faulty transmission arrays. Ra packed in silence, while Danny scanned the skies. They had less than 48 hours. Zay extinguished the makeshift stove and tossed a wrapped ration to Ra. Eat, she said. You're walking into hell. Ra caught it one-handed. I've been there. Smelled worse. Zay snorted. Cute. Keep that up when the Reaver patrols pin you against a glass wall. Danny stood, slinging his gear. Then we better move before they do. Zay rolled up her tarp. I know a side route into the canyon. An old miner's shaft. The locals called it the Black Vein. Ra arched an eyebrow. Sounds cozy? About as cozy as a knife fight in a bathtub, Zay replied. But it cuts straight under the perimeter sensors. Still sounds better than the front door, Danny muttered. The trek into the canyon was arduous. Zay led, her path tight and unpredictable. The further they ventured, the more alien the landscape became. At the final ridge, they gazed down upon the edge of Basalt Ravine. The Reaver base lay nestled beneath them, carved into the very rock. Jagged rock like a fresh wound, heavy transports lumbered on metal walkways. Searchlights swept across imposing towers, focusing on a sealed, guarded silo. A chill went through Ra as she saw it, a place of unknown purpose, but her knuckles turned white. That's not a communication tower, she stated, her voice tight. Zay nodded grimly. A launch pad. Danny adjusted his visor, his gaze hardening. Then let's shatter something before they fire it. That night, they found refuge in a cave's mouth overlooking the vast canyon. Zay took the first watch, sitting cross-legged, a pulse rifle cradled on her lap, a soft, forgotten melody drifting from her lips in an unknown tongue. Danny and Ra lay side by side on sparse mats. Danny turned his head slightly. You should rest. Ra's eyes remained open, wide and staring. I can't. I'm scared. Wired. Me too, Danny admitted. What if we don't make it? We will, Ra affirmed, turning her head to meet his gaze. She reached out, her fingers closing around his. Good, she whispered. Because if I'm going to die, it won't be before I kill the bastard who set my world ablaze. Danny gave a single nod. We'll get him. You're not what I expected, she murmured. Danny met her gaze. Neither are you. A faint smirk touched her lips. You should have looked away when you had the chance. I'm still looking, he replied. A genuine laugh escaped her, and as she finally closed her eyes, her hand still clasped with his, Danny remained awake a little longer, a silent sentinel ensuring their safety until dawn. The first light was a hazy gray wash over the rugged landscape, the sky still tinged with the residue of night. They packed in silence, the plan indelibly etched in their minds. Swift movement, absolute quiet. Infiltrate the base, locate the warhead, terminate the operation. Ra kept glancing over her shoulder as they descended the dark slope, heading for a jagged fissure in the basalt wall. It cut like a blade through sheer cliffs, winding and twisting with sharp, unnatural angles. The locals called it the Needle Crease, the final covert path into the canyon's heart, a perfect kill zone. The first shot erupted from above. A pulse bolt slammed into the rock, scant inches from Danny's head, vaporizing a streak of stone and forcing them to dive for cover. "Top wall!" Ra yelled, rolling behind a protective ledge. Danny veered right, pressing himself against the cliff face, drawing his carbine. A second bolt flashed, then a third, closer still. Zay returned fire, pinning one of the reavers behind an outcropping, but two more materialized on a high ridge, rifles leveled, triangulating their position. Danny scanned. No drones. This wasn't reconnaissance. It was an extermination. "They were waiting for us," he growled. "No," Ra countered sharply. "They were waiting for you." Danny risked a glance, ducking as a bolt seared the edge of his vest. "Care to elaborate?" She yanked a throwing blade free, kissed its hilt, and hurled it with deadly accuracy. It struck true. "They tracked your drop point," she explained. "They followed your old thermal signature back to this route. They knew someone would come." Danny didn't argue, lining up a shot and dropping another reaver's legs. He fell screaming. Ra moved with blinding speed, leaping onto the ledge, 2 shots finding the last shooter's chest before he could even turn. Silence descended like a shroud. Zay exhaled. That was the welcoming committee. "No," Ra said, crouching over one of the fallen. "Those were just the scouts." Danny took the lead, rifle held steady, his pace unwavering. Zay moved in the middle, and Ra brought up the rear, her eyes scanning every overhead shadow like a hawk filled with ancient fury. Halfway through, Danny stopped. A subtle sound. He turned just as the reavers dropped. 3 of them, one crashing into Zay, the other 2 slamming into Ra. Danny spun, elbowing the first one across the face, ducking a wild swing, and slamming the butt of his rifle into the reaver's gut. The man dropped his weapon, so Danny grabbed him by the collar, driving him backward into the wall. The reaver gasped as ribs cracked. Then the knife came out. Danny barely twisted in time. The blade nicked his side just beneath his vest. "Danny!" Ra cried out. He slammed the attacker's head into the rock twice, 3 times. Blood sprayed. The man went limp. Danny spun, blood seeping through his shirt. Ra was locked in a struggle with her assailant. The second reaver had Zay pinned. Danny didn't hesitate. He charged, knocking the reaver off Zay with a full-body tackle, rolling and coming up with the fallen attacker's sidearm. 2 shots, one to the neck, one to the chest, dead. He turned as Ra slammed her attacker into the wall and drove her elbow into his throat. Silence returned. Danny staggered against the rock, pressing a hand to his side. Ra rushed to him. "Let me see." "I'm fine," he gritted out. "Don't be a fool," he said, sinking down. She knelt, unzipped his vest, and pulled the fabric aside. "You're lucky," she murmured. "Half an inch deeper, and you'd be dead. Guess I like flirting with the edge." Ra tore open a med patch, pressing it to the wound. "You keep flirting. I'll put a bolt through your knee." Danny smirked. "Wouldn't be the first time a woman got violent when I bled for her." She rolled her eyes, but her fingers trembled slightly as she finished patching him up. They continued through the rest of the passage. Crouching in the hushed shadows, they located a ledge beyond sensor range. Gear dropped silently, weapons checked. Danny leaned against the cold stone, Ra beside him. "You always play the hero," she murmured, her voice a low accusation. He shook his head, a weary sigh escaping him. "Only when the alternative's far worse." "You didn't hesitate," she whispered, her gaze intense. "I knew you'd win," she added softly. "That's not what I meant," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. Turning to her, he saw the raw concern etched on her face. "You ran straight into the line for me," she repeated, her words laced with a painful vulnerability. "I'd do it again," he breathed. Ra's eyes searched his, a storm of unspoken feelings swirling within their depths. Without a word, she gently brushed blood from his cheek. He caught her wrist, his touch tender. "You don't have to do this," he pleaded softly. "I know," she whispered, her voice barely audible. And then, a kiss, fierce, desperate, a burning brand that consumed them both. His hand moved to her waist, hers tangled in his vest, their bodies melding together, a desperate need to vanish into the other. Gasping for breath, they finally broke apart. Her voice, a fragile whisper, broke the silence. "We could die tomorrow." "I know," he murmured, his heart aching. "I don't want regrets." "Then don't have any," she said, her eyes locking with his. She pulled him close again, this time a gentler embrace. Later, under the camouflage tarp, their hearts slowing, rifles at their sides, the world outside muted, their breaths intermingling. Tomorrow, a fortress, a warhead, perhaps death. But for now, only the quiet thrum of their shared heartbeat. Ra's arm draped across his chest, her pulse steady, her breathing even. He lay awake, regret unknown, a deep contentment filling him. As false dawn painted the ravine, they geared up. Zay, near a crumbling slope, studied the diagram on her datapad. "The path drops here," she whispered, her finger tracing the maintenance access tunnel on the map. "Wide enough for our gear, low profile. Leads to sub-level 3. "Security?" Ra asked, her eyes sharp. "Low, maybe 2 guards. After that, main shaft 1, near the central silo, if we time it right." Danny nodded. "Hour window?" 3 hours till shift change. Then pressure seals lock sub-levels for cleaning. "And if we're still inside?" Ra asked, her voice laced with grim humor. Zay shrugged. "You'll be very clean, very dead." Danny looked to Ra. "Still in?" Her nod was sharp, unwavering. "Always." Their approach was surgical, Ra leading, silent as a wraith. Danny covered the rear, Zay expertly bypassing surveillance cameras. A lone technician, unlucky, met his end swiftly, silently. The hatch hissed open, revealing darkness. They moved swiftly, then halted. Voices. 2 guards. Ra moved like a phantom, swift and lethal. Danny's shots were precise, efficient. They pressed on. The tunnel widened, the walls shimmering, ghostly reflections dancing in the dim light. Ahead, a lift descended, carrying warhead components. Ra swore. "Delivery cycle," she breathed. Danny's stomach clenched. "They're prepping launch." Zay worked frantically at a console. 6 minutes to spoof our tags. After that, bio-ID scan. "We need disguises," Ra stated, her gaze fixed on 2 technicians inspecting an oxygen seal. She looked at Danny, a silent question passing between them. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" "Grab uniforms. Stay quiet. Blend in," Danny replied. "Wrong," she said, then kissed him, a quick, unexpected assault. He barely reacted before she pushed him against a pipe, grinding against him, a silent, desperate communication. The technicians looked up, chuckled, and walked on. Danny blinked, stunned. Ra stepped back. "I'll distract," she said, her voice low. "You grab the tags." He just smiled, shaking his head at her unpredictability. Minutes later, they possessed new jumpsuits, ID badges, and a crate for cover. Zay shook her head, awestruck. "Terrifying." "You haven't seen us when we're mad," Ra replied, her voice flat and chilling. Inside the base, an air thick with oil, fuel, and the metallic tang of blood. Black glass tunnels, red track lights pulsing like arteries. Fewer civilians the deeper they went. Zay guided them past checkpoints, her voice a hiss. "No sudden moves. Cameras everywhere." At sub-level 3, the main server vault loomed. With guards engrossed in dice, Zay bypassed the biometric scanner, while Danny, wagering his last credits, faced off against them. As Ra's veiled threat spurred Danny's daring play, Zay surreptitiously rerouted the scanner. Ra then joined Danny, her voice laced with venom, warning him she'd leave if he lost again. Danny's gamble paid off, much to the guards' dismay. Inside, Zay decrypted stolen data, revealing a Terran warhead, a stolen Earth weapon aimed at Frontier City's Yarrow's Gate. With 20 minutes before lockdown, Ra vowed to destroy the facility, while Danny planned to locate the warhead bay. "You still with me?" Ra asked, her eyes fixed on the countdown. "Now and always," Danny vowed. He turned to Ra, who was fixated on the launch vector, the blinking red tag revealing 23 hours until impact. Ra's jaw tightened, her hand instinctively reaching for her belt. "Yarrow's Gate," she whispered, her voice heavy with memory of her cousin Jessa. "My family had friends there." She explained the devastating impact such a weapon would have. Zay revealed the only way to stop it was direct access to the silo via an access tunnel. but it was sealed, requiring passage through the command lift. We're going to need to cause a scene, Danny realized. Zay proposed overloading coolant valves to trigger a fire containment drill, granting them a 7-minute window. Easy, Ra declared, unfazed by the perilous plan. Zay called them unhinged, to which Ra quipped, "Takes one to trust one." 15 minutes later, alarms blared and red lights flashed. In Reaver uniforms, Danny and Ra moved unimpeded, passing security with stolen tags. The unguarded lift descended rapidly. "This is the part where we don't screw up," Ra murmured. "Thought that was every part," Danny responded. "But this one counts more." The doors opened to reveal the massive warhead, surrounded by scaffolding and engineers. Ra spotted their path. "We'll climb," she said, directing Danny to plant charges on the support struts. "One high. That'll cut the load spine." "I go high," Danny said. "No," Ra shot back, staring. "Ra, you already took a hit today. I'm swifter. Cleaner." He didn't argue. Ra vanished into the scaffolding like a wraith. Danny took the lower path, ducking beneath crossbeams, planting the first charge under the primary stabilizer. He pressed the arm, set the timer. 10 minutes. She pulled the third charge from her belt, clicked it into place, and a rifle safety disengaged behind her. Ra froze. "A Reaver. You're too late." "No," the man said. "I'm early." Danny was still below. Too far. Couldn't see her. Ra slowly lifted her hands. The Reaver climbed a step closer. "Who do you work for?" "No one." "You think we don't have sensors? You think we didn't notice a rogue trace from that old Lyrian ID? You're a ghost, but not ghost enough." He stepped closer, and that's when Ra moved. She spun, kicked the rifle off his shoulder, drove her elbow into his neck, and propelled them both off the platform. They crashed onto the scaffolding below. She hit hard, rolled, came up bleeding from the arm. The Reaver tried to rise. Danny tackled him, fists pounding. Danny slammed him into the beam once, twice, until he stopped moving. Blood pooled between the steel grates. Ra groaned, clutching her arm. "You good?" he said, breath ragged. "Nothing broken," she hissed. "Maybe my pride." He grabbed her shoulder, steadied her. "You did it?" She nodded. "All 3 charges? All 3? Danny reached up, cradled the side of her face. "You scared the hell out of me." "Yeah," she whispered. "I scared myself." They ran. Zay was waiting near the upper lift, hacking into the escape route override. 3 minutes until auto-seal," she shouted. "We need to be gone." Ra and Danny didn't stop. They hit the lift. The doors slammed shut. They shot upward back into the main corridor just as the base rumbled behind them. A low whine filled the air. Zay peeled off her goggles, grinning. "You did it. You actually did it." Danny exhaled, laughing once. Then he turned to Ra. Blood ran down her arm from a deep slice beneath the shoulder joint. She hadn't said a word about it. He pulled her close, sat her down, tore open his med pack. "You should have told me. I didn't want you distracted. I'm always distracted when you're bleeding." He cleaned the wound, wrapped it tight. She gritted her teeth. Then she looked up at him, sweat on her brow, lashes dark, eyes wild with adrenaline and pain, and she kissed him again. Danny didn't pull away, not even when she whispered, "I'm not used to being scared." He pulled her forehead to his. "I'm not used to being this alive." Danny tightened the wrap on Ra's shoulder, his fingers slick with her blood. She didn't flinch, just stared past him, eyes locked on the flickering screen that had shown Yarrow's gate. Zay hovered near the vault terminal, lips tight. "There's something else," she said. "On the Reaver mainframe?" Ra turned. "What?" Zay hesitated. "Then they're keeping prisoners. Lyrian's lower deck medical wing. I think test subjects." Silence. Then Ra stood. "We get them out," she said flatly. "Ra," Danny said, voice low. "We don't have time." "I don't care." Danny held her gaze, then nodded once. "Lead the way." The lower medical bay stank of antiseptic and fear. 2 guards. Silent takedown. Inside, 5 LAN prisoners. Zay popped the lock. Ra stepped in. The youngest girl gasped, eyes wide. "Are you here to help?" Ra didn't speak. She knelt, extended her hand. The girl took it. That was enough. They escaped through a maintenance chute. As the base alarms flared again outside, in the shadow of the collapsing ridge, they collapsed on the rocks, Ra bleeding. Danny, still carrying the smallest child, the others crowding under thermal wraps. "You were right," she whispered. Danny looked at her. "About what?" "I needed to come back for someone, not just revenge." He kissed her forehead. "You're not who you were." She closed her eyes. "No," she said. "I'm better." Smoke curled from the shattered vent shafts below. Danny and Ra moved ahead, side by side. The launch gantry rose like a skeleton from the ravine floor, black steel against the blood-red sky. The fuel cells still hissed with pressure. Cables twitched like nerves. And at the edge of the platform, waiting, Captain Ricky. "Took you long enough," he sneered. "I was hoping to kill you before you ruined everything." Ra didn't stop walking. Danny flanked wide, silent. Ricky noticed, laughed once, still hiding behind humans. "Ra." "No," she said calmly. "This one walks beside me." Ricky stepped closer, jamming the pistol under her chin. "I remember your bondmate," he growled. "Cried like a dog when we took the water plant. You were too late to save her, just like you'll be too late to stop this." Danny's voice cut in, sharp. "You're already stopped." He flashed a small mirror angled just right. A sniper laser winked across Ricky's chest from the hills beyond. Ricky turned just enough. Ra slammed her forehead into his. He stumbled, but she deftly snatched his pistol, slammed her elbow into his gut, and twisted his knee. He crashed down, a roar escaping him. Danny moved in, offering the final charge. "You wanted to set the world ablaze?" he asked. The man armed it, then kicked Ricky off the gantry. An instant later, the explosion erupted. Danny seized Ra, and they plunged into a slag runoff channel, hurtling downwards as the entire launch tower consumed itself in a fiery cascade above. They landed hard on the ground. Ra ripped off her shattered breastplate, her breath coming in gasps. Danny looked at her, still shaken, but undeniably alive. "You all right?" he managed. She nodded, her voice a low murmur. "Still watching?" Danny's lips curved into a faint smile, his gaze still captivated. She glided closer, her fingertips brushing his collar. "The world ends in 2 hours," she whispered. "Or it begins. Which future do you choose, Danny?" Without hesitation, he replied, "You. Today. Tomorrow. Whenever we're still breathing." Their kiss was a fierce, urgent thing. Ra leaned back, her chest heaving, her eyes tracing the rising flames. "Didn't think we'd make it out," she admitted. Danny grinned, a trickle of blood at the corner of his mouth. "Still don't think we will." She glanced at him, then erupted into laughter. He settled beside her, shoulder to shoulder, and for a moment they simply listened to the wind carrying smoke over the high cliffs. She then let her ruined breastplate fall with a heavy clunk. Danny's gaze flickered, then averted. She caught his eye. "Relax," she teased, a smirk playing on her lips. "I charge extra for private showings." "Bill me after the war?" she queried, raising a brow. "You assume I'll survive this to send invoices?" Danny smiled. "You're the most unstoppable person I know. If anyone's sending invoices after a firestorm, it's you." The statement surprised her. Her smirk softened as she leaned in, her lips grazing his ear. "You keep saying things like that," she whispered. "I might actually start believing you." Later, as they ascended the ridge towards the evac site, the light shifted, dawn breaking through the smoke. At the crest, Commander Bryan's gunship touched down, medics rushing forward. Zay was already there, waving them in, gesturing towards the prisoners huddled beneath the rock overhang. Danny turned as Ra stopped beside him, her gaze fixed on the horizon. She then looked at him, her voice quiet. "I'm not staying." Danny didn't ask why. An hour later, as medics cleared Danny for evac, Ra drew him aside behind the transport wing. She pressed something into his hand. "A scanner unit." Ravermed Bay had a pulse monitor, she explained. "I ran a scan before I left. Just curious." Danny frowned. "What am I looking for?" She met his gaze without flinching. "It's not just me anymore." He stared, then looked back at the scanner. "You're—" "Yeah," she confirmed, her voice soft. "Somehow, in all the chaos, we made something." Danny was silent for a long moment, then a smile spread across his face. "Well," he said, "I guess I'm still paying off that view." Ra laughed, nudged him, then pulled him into a deep, wordless embrace. Danny sat at the edge of the evac area, his shirt pulled back as medics tended his bruised ribs. Zay was inside the gunship, in debriefing. The rescued Leans had been moved to med tents, shaken but safe. Ra had vanished for nearly an hour. Then, silently, she reappeared, dropping onto the dirt beside him. "They cleared you for HQ," she stated. "Offered a promotion," Danny murmured, shrugging. He'd turned it down. She raised an eyebrow but didn't press. The quiet between them was no longer tense, but familiar. Danny looked at her. "You're not staying, are you?" "Nope." She retrieved the scanner from her pocket, placing it on the ground between them. They watched the tiny pulse flash red, blue, red. "He's going to have your eyes," she said softly. Danny blinked. "You're calling it already?" She nodded decisively, a gut certainty. They sat in silence. Hours later, Danny Riker stood by the skimmer ramp, one hand on the hatch, the other tucked into his belt. His vest was worn, his boots scuffed, but he stood tall. Ra Talon approached him, one hand resting lightly on her abdomen, which now bore a gentle curve. She met his gaze, smirking. "Caught you peeking again." Danny's eyes remained on her. He stepped closer, his arm encircling her waist. "Yeah," he said, "but this view's mine for life." She leaned into him just enough. "You sure about that?" "Yeah." "No regrets?" He looked at her for a beat, then kissed her forehead. "Only that I didn't find you sooner." Commander Bryan stood nearby, arms crossed, watching them. He was offering Danny one last chance. A clean contract, command at HQ, security, good pay. Danny didn't hesitate. "I've got a better offer." Bryan simply nodded, making no attempt to dissuade him, for he saw it too. The way they moved, like two parts of the same intricate weapon, weathered, flawed, yet perfectly aligned. The skimmer lifted slowly, kicking up dust as it sped across the dunes. Ra occupied the co-pilot's seat, her legs propped up, her hand resting protectively over her belly. Her belly pulsed. Danny piloted, gaze fixed ahead, one hand firm on the controls, the other clasped in hers. Silence stretched between them, profound. Then a whisper. "You know our destination?" "Not precisely. Does that trouble you?" He turned his head. "No," she breathed, a gentle smile gracing her lips. "We forge our own path now." As the vast expanse of the desert unfolded beneath the dawning sky, they soared towards it, utterly, blissfully free. The camp was hushed, a humble, unpretentious outpost nestled along the southern rim, frequented mainly by merchants and wanderers. No patrols, no surveillance, no sharp commands echoing over comms. Only the sigh of the wind, the silent watch of the stars, and the soft murmur of a distant radio playing static from a nearby tent. Danny lay relaxed upon a worn, thin blanket, her eyes tracing the constellations. His shirt was gone, revealing a faint, pale scar etched across his ribs. Ra nestled beside him, her head resting on his chest, one leg draped casually over his hip. Her breathing was deep and even, not yet asleep, simply still. His fingers drifted in slow, tender circles along her spine. "Do you ever consider it?" he asked, his voice a low rumble. She shifted slightly. "Consider what?" "Before all this," he murmured, "who we truly were." Ra paused, her silence speaking volumes before she finally replied, "I dislike dwelling on the past." Danny nodded in understanding. "Fair enough." Then a thought surfaced. "But sometimes," she confessed, her voice soft, "I believe it all unfolded precisely to lead me here." He looked down at her, her gaze mirroring his, fixed on the same celestial tapestry, her eyes filled with a tender light. "Next week," she declared, "we'll survey that valley near Greystone." "There's water there," he offered, "and an old mining shelter, abandoned but sound, that we could perhaps make our own." "A genuine roof?" Danny inquired, a playful lilt in her tone. A subtle smirk played on her lips. "One that won't require constant mending every time the wind decides to howl. And what of a life lived peacefully? No missions, no clashes, no hurried escapes. Why not embrace it?" He considered her words, then tenderly kissed the crown of her head. "Yes," he whispered, the sentiment heartfelt. "Why not, indeed?" A faint flutter. She took his hand, guiding it gently to her stomach, the subtlest of movements. Danny's breath hitched. "I'll build the roof," he promised, his voice thick with emotion. "And I'll fix it when it leaks," she countered, a playful glint in her eyes. He smiled. 2 years vanished. The conflict never breached their sanctuary in that quiet canyon. Danny Riker dedicated himself to maintaining solar arrays and orchestrating supply drones along the frontier towns. He bore no rank, wore no uniform, yet his name resonated throughout the region, not through ambition, but through the quiet healing he offered where wounds had once festered. Ra Talon never rejoined the Legion. She never felt the need. She cultivated the land, mentored a handful of young scouts in her spare time, and by the age of 3, had taught her daughter the art of shooting a pebble off a fence post. Their daughter, Jessa, bore Danny's eyes and Ra's untamed spirit, named in memory of a cousin lost to the brutal gates of Iro. They hadn't salvaged the galaxy, but they had undeniably saved something precious.